Hey, Josh. Yeah, this is like a new thing that they're doing on YouTube. I guess this was not a thing last time was doing streaming. So I don't know how this works. I guess it's just checking who's top each stream. Yeah, because right now if I look at my like list of chatters, you're currently the only person on the list. Good evening. It's Garvey time. All right. Uh, NO3. I don't know what that means. Okay, so I worked on something over the past couple days. One of my friends on the team, you guys probably know from going to events and stuff, Peter Butensek, great guy. I was helping them with some stuff, and he showed me a spreadsheet that he has for the deck that he's working on, and I went, "Oh, that's a really good idea," and that really coincides with what we're doing right now on stream. So I thought I would make one of those for Gravy Bones. So what the sheet is it's it's basically tracking deck building things for all the gravies that have made top cut at different events. So for right now, I just have all the ones that are on February under tournament, and I'm gonna keep adding to this over time. And then I have at the top here the average count of all of the different things, and then the individual counts of different card choices that people made in their decks. Also, I made some changes to my microphone. I'm just now remembering that. I finally figured out why my mic was always so quiet. Some setting got changed in the background of my computer when I moved, and I finally found it and fixed it. So if the mic is too loud, please let me know and I can adjust it down. I still need to figure out the like low humming sound. I think it's my computer. I updated the drivers for my noise canceling software thing, or whatever the terminology for that is. So I'm probably going to work on that for next stream, but I at least got it so I'm not super quiet anymore. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So yeah, we have all the different counts of different things in here. So we got the things that I care about tracking right now, which is ally count blues, go again attacks. I am not counting limpet in this. Cards that give allies go again. So this is going to be give no quarter, lead the charge. Technically not giving an ally go again, but you know what I mean there. And Avasti. I think I said the wrong card for the first one. It's nix whatever I said for the first thing and replace that with flying high. Sorry. How many back alley break lines people are playing, how many gold kiss rum generators, how many poppers for prism, how many defensive cards. And for defensive cards, I'm counting this as defense reactions or anything else weird like that. So this is going to be like Fiddler's Greens and anything weird like that that's more of a defensive card. I guess I do have to edit this slightly for Jacob's one because he's also playing what's that blue that you reveal the top card of your deck and prevent that much damage based on the pitch value? I should probably add that to that, so I'll be adjusting this later. How many cards in their deck that are loot cards? So this is loot the hold and loot the arsenal. I think those are the only two. I think there's like another one that just doesn't do what the other two do. They're just shittier. But basically anything that just like gives an on hit to your ally attack. I'm going to give no quarters because I'm seeing a trend down on give no quarters, and I want to see if that continues. Essentially, with give no quarter, you're functionally casting a blue, but you can only use it on casting cards, not attacking with them. And as people are moving away from Humperdinck, give no quarters losing value. So if the only thing that you're really getting value out of this with is your chums, then it's maybe not worth it in your deck. So I'm trying to pay attention to that. How many items people are playing. I might change this to how many Watery Grave items. I'm not sure. I might just like, if they play other items, put it in the notes, but I'm not sure. I have Ophidias, the other Fable, Riches, how much Arcane Barrier, which Arcane Barrier pieces that they're not playing, and then any other weird notes about their deck that just like something that I want to write down but just isn't in one of these columns. I'm probably going to remove some of these columns over time as there's a consensus on certain things, and I just don't need to track that anymore, and consolidate it down to the things that people are divided on. I'm planning on updating this over time, at least throughout nationals. I might go past that. I'm not sure yet. It really depends on how long I think there's value in tracking this, because at a certain point I think this loses value as people kind of have decided this is how the deck is built now. So until then, I'm going to maintain this. Yes, I have that one right here. No whalers. That was a pretty interesting list. They're also incredibly low on the ally count. This is the least number of allies that I have seen in a deck list so far, if the deck list that I have is accurate, because it wasn't like from the tournaments tab. All of these are from the tournaments tab, except for the top one here, and technically the bottom one here, because I just have Jacob's deck list like from their group. I just asked for the deck list with sideboard notes. I did like a deck trade. I gave them my Prism deck with sideboard notes for their Gravy deck with sideboard notes. It worked out. Yeah, I think it's reasonable to cut Give No Quarter. I don't think it's like mandatory in the deck, but I do think the card is very powerful. I think if you told me if there was a card that I could play that was literally just play this card, make 3 resources, and it's a blue, I would play that in this deck, because it lets me play smaller hands. That's really powerful. And as we talked about before, wherever that is on here, this is one of the things that I wanted to work on, of how can we make the deck a little less susceptible to disruption and the weakness of it's really reliant on playing larger hands. I think those small hands are a bit of a weakness that the deck has. So moving away from Give No Quarter kind of pushes you even further into being weaker against that. Well, Jacob's also just like a local to me. I see him at like every event. And I'm friends with like their entire team. Me and Jacob have been spitballing Gravy stuff basically since Nationals, just sharing ideas and shit. I should probably send this to Jacob, to be honest, kind of a pay it forward type of thing. But yeah, I'm planning on updating this over time, and if you would like access to this, it's on the Patreon. I also have the Google Doc on the Patreon, and I have my deck on the Patreon, which is going to be the one that I'm updating. So if you guys just want access to my deck and you don't want to just like sit here on stream piecing it together, all 3 of these things are on the Patreon if you want access to that, and I'll just drop a link here. If you guys want to support the channel, you can. Don't feel obligated to. Just the resources are there if you want access to them. And then, like I said, I'm planning on updating this spreadsheet over time. We're going to be updating this Google Doc over time, and after about a month, I'm going to be reevaluating this Google Doc and figure out what we got wrong, what we got right, what questions we still need answering, what questions that we did answer, any opinions that have changed, and kind of doing a review after about a month. And then I also have like a list of all the games that people played on stream here too. And on this particular tab here, I watched all of Hamilton and Fang's games on stream for that Battle Hardened, and took a bunch of notes for all the different things that I saw that they did. If you want to, I'm not going to go through this whole thing on stream right now. You can either pick up the Patreon thing and read this yourself, or you can just be ghetto and pause the video and read this. But I just took note of all the interesting things over the course of their games and everything. And I'm gonna reevaluate this later and figure out any takeaways from this, because I think there are some interesting takeaways here and some things that I actually disagree with. For instance, there's a turn that Hamilton blocks with his hat. If I can find it here, or not blocks with his hat, but cracks his hat. And I talked with him about it, and he basically said that he just doesn't have a heuristic yet for cracking his hat. And that was just what made the most sense to him doing it right there. It was on an Anka for 5. It was kind of I get it. it was kind of a tough spot. Basically, Fang attacked with a tipple, and I think from Michael's POV, Hamilton's POV, he thought the hook was on the tipple for whatever reason, and he just misevaluated the board because he got really surprised or something. He seemed caught off guard either by an ally getting played and forgot a blue was played, or thought the hook was on something else and just kind of misevaluated the turn cycle. And he already blocked with a card earlier, so then when this attack came in with the hook and he only had 1 gold, he was like, ah shit, what do I do about this? Because if he blocks, he doesn't have the ability to really clear this very easily, and if he doesn't block, then he loses his gold, and he doesn't, want that to happen. And the hand was pretty awkward, so I was like, I understand. It was, he blocked with a tipple. He has a red swell and an Avast Yi in his hand, and his arsenal is a yellow tipple. So the red swell clears this, but then it's like, lose your gold, keep 2 cards, play red swell, get the extra money from that, and then just do nothing with it, pass. It's kind of a shit turn. And then he cracked his hat, but before looking at the top of his deck, and the top of the card he drew off of balance was a Rigor Mortis. So what I was thinking was maybe you look with Compass on declare attacks here. And if it's a blue on top, then you keep the chart and block with the other 2. You get 3 monies if it's a blue, and then you can play your own Ankh and kill his Ankh. And it's a clean 1-card play that clears his guy while not losing your own gold. That being said, it's a yellow on top, so if that is the plan, you look at the top, you see that you can't make that play. But that's I think what I would have done here, but it's honestly a really shitty spot. I understand him cracking a hat here, and it's one of those like, man, this turn is really worth like sitting down and evaluating for a long time, because there's a lot of different ways that you can play it out. But yeah, I have like a bunch of different things written about decisions during games and everything of for example, Fang played against a Syndra at one point, and I thought it was really interesting to take note of the times that he chose to block, because he did very little blocking in the matchup. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the last stream, where I think that you win that matchup by just outvaluing them and by being aggressive. He was just not blocking. He was just like, whatever, I'm just going to not block unless it seems like it's really good value to block, and I can actually win this fight over your mask, and I'm just going to play my whole hand. And that worked very well for him. That was also a really good game. He played around basically everything that the Syndra could have done, and just kind of Millennium-eyed what the Syndra had every turn. It was a very good game to watch. Honestly, all of the games that they played I thought were very interesting games, especially this mirror. This is definitely worth watching if you guys haven't watched it. I'll drop a link if you guys want to watch it yourself at some point. And that's one of the things about Gravy Bones. There's a lot of different ways to play all the hands, and I'm really enjoying the puzzle, trying to figure out both the deck building and the play patterns. This is the most fun I've had playing around with the deck in Fab. I was at my armory a few days ago on Thursday, and after one of my games, I went, man, I think I made the wrong choice every single turn of this game. But I don't care, I'm having fun. And that's a weird feeling. I haven't had that in a long time in Fab. I usually tilt pretty hard if I think I'm making the wrong choices, and I beat myself up over it. But here I was just like, whatever. I'm just having a good time moving around cards, and I haven't had that in a long time in Fab. So yeah, let's talk about the deck changes that I made real quick. This is gonna just get blown up probably every couple days, so don't take anything to heart here of what's in the deck. It's mostly just things that I want to mess around with. I cut down, I believe, the limps from last time. I added in 6 swells. Swell seemed like it was incredible in the games I was watching them play in this stream, especially against the aggro decks. So something that I noticed against aggro decks, you tend to get pretty flush on gold once you start making gold. Because they just, Never block your hook. They don't give a shit. So basically, anytime you make 1 gold, it usually means that you're making 2 gold because you tipple, make a gold. They don't block the hook. You make another gold. So you make 2 gold every single time. So you just end up with a shitload of gold in play. And what the swells were doing was either I have extra money to play the rest of the cards on my turn if I just like need more resources, or I'm just going to convert the swell into card draw. And basically, I'm going to pitch a blue, play the swell, float 2, get another blue, float 5, and then I'm going to draw a card, go back to 3. So I got 3 damage. I drew a card. I still have 3 floating. So that's pretty good. I spent 2 cards for 3 damage, getting a card back, and I still have 3 resources. So I functionally just gained a full card during this exchange, which is really good. And that was one of the things that I was talking about internally with the aggro matchups. I think one of the ways that I wanted to find an edge in the aggro decks was, man, how do I leverage all this extra gold to kind of turn that into a win condition? And this seems to be a way to do it. Just, I'm going to outvalue you with this. And it goes hand in hand with the other comment I was talking about of just outvalue them. Yeah, I like that it's complicated. I'm not saying that as a complaint. And it feels very similar to OG Prism, where you have a lot of different ways that you can play your hands, and it's hard to know whether or not you made the correct choice without hindsight, and you won't know until you start doing things, or like a few turns later whether or not that was correct. And this is the kind of deck that you can tell that you're going to need a lot of games to just feel out what the correct choices are, because it's just too hard to heuristic out everything. But just game sensing it from just a million games is definitely going to put in a lot of work there. Other change, I added in balance to the deck. I added it in an extra AB, mostly just because I had some extra slots. And given the data, it seems like most people are leaning towards playing heavy AB, so I should probably make the space to put AB back in the deck. I don't know if I actually want 3. We'll have to play some wizards and see if that's actually correct. If it's just for Kano, I don't know if I give a shit about that. I might just take the L to Kano. I don't want to waste deck slots for something that I may never face. I cut some loot the holds. I think if the thought is we're going to use the swells to win that matchup, we may not necessarily need loot the hold. I honestly don't really like this card. It's so hard evaluating this card because whenever I play the card, I'm not happy because I just spent a full card to do nothing because this just says please block me. And from my opponent's POV, they're mad that I played this card because now they have to block. Everyone's upset, so I don't know who's correct in being upset there. Someone's definitely wrong, and I don't know who. I went to 5 Gold Kiss generations to experiment with that. It seemed like everyone is playing a lot of Gold Kiss basically since everyone but Jacob is playing a lot, essentially. Where the hell is it? Here. Jacob's on 0, and he was on Flying Highs instead. It seems like people are going Tip the Barkeep over Flying High. So I'm trying that. I did really like Flying High, so I think I would like to find a way to get that back in the deck, but I understand going for tips instead. I do think, though, that if we're doing Gold Kisses, that should mean that the ally count comes down a little bit. A, overwhelming my hero power if I have too many things to discard, but B, well, if I'm trying to hero power, then I can't crack my Gold Kisses, so it kind of... There's a big conflict between these two things, and there's a balancing act that you have to make there. For AB. So, most people are doing what? Everything but... It's honestly a pretty even spread. I think most people are doing not the chest or not the hands, I guess. But it's kind of all over the place. There's no consensus here of what is the optimal one to not play. And for playing against some Verdances, just like playing against some of my locals, it sucks not having the hook in the matchup. You just feel so gold starved. It sucks not starting with a gold because I would like to start with a gold, obviously. It sucks not having Mage Master boots because I just want to like get a bunch of shit on the board. I want all of these things, which is also why I kind of just don't want to play extra AB, because I don't think I actually need the extra AB in Divergence. Maybe just 2, because most of the time, if you're getting hit once, you're getting hit twice, so you can pitch a blue and get full value off of AB 2. Do I want to pitch 2 cards? That's the real question there, because I don't know if trying to outlast their damage is really that valid of a strategy. With AB3, like, I think I'm just playing AB2 there and I'm happy, but I'm not sure. And then the other thing that's pretty interesting, nobody's playing Riches. It was just Jacob on Riches. Nobody likes this card, and I thought this card was really good. So we're gonna add this to the suspect list of maybe cutting this from the deck. Some people aren't playing I either, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a access to card thing. Just fucking expensive. I don't even have the card. I'm borrowing it from one of my friends. Thanks, Chris. I keep going back and forth on 2 back alleys. I added back in a back alley. I was on 1 for a few days. I went back to 2. I just keep getting into spots where I wish I had another one in the deck, but this card sucks ass drawing it. I really want to play 1. And then I was experimenting with 1-0 humps, but I went back to 2. I just really like this card as an easy button versus fatigue decks. And I had some extra slots, but this could very easily be our third AB. And I also cut all of the defensive cards from the deck. So the current thing that I want to try out as an experiment with the deck is just 0 defensive cards. I need to limit test this. How far can we go? Can we just be like max ignorant and just not play any defensive cards into the aggro decks and win that way? I need to know. And it's probably wrong. But that's fine. This is how we learn. We intentionally make the mistake so we can learn how we get punished and go, okay, now I understand. I need to see 1 or 2 of these a game or something like that, and I kind of get a feel for it that way. I cut the sloops. This could also very easily come in over the Humperdinck. I think these come in the same matchups as the Humperdinck, though. So I don't know what I'd rather have, a Humperdinck or a red go-again attack. Anything else of note here? I cut all the items. They felt pretty bad. I'm trying no give, no quarter. I think we already mentioned that, kind of. No flying highs. I would like to get these back in the deck. Something else the Humperdinck could be is a snag in the side. This card's pretty good. It's obviously got applications against Assassin, but this is actually really good into the Earth Heroes. They attack one of your big health allies with like a Plow Under or something. They're just like a decompose card, and then you snag it, and it doesn't gain the power. And now they don't clear your thing. They still get the effect if they want to decompose, because I believe the way it works is you have to snag before they decide to decompose. But you just juice them on this, and they spent their turn, and they spent 2 cards, their turn, and an action point to not clear your guy, and that probably just wins the game instantly. I'm also considering Poison the Well for Verdance. One of the things that I think is pretty common in that matchup, I haven't played enough games of it to have a sense of this yet, though, is she is going to look for a turn to keep a larger hand size and play a bunch of things that gain life. And basically, anytime Verdance is keeping, a full grip, it's because they're going to gain life. Their hands don't play unless they're gaining life. Because all their things that are action point neutral are life gain. If they're going to just throw a decompose attack at you or something, or just like smork you with like a spell, they're playing a 2-card hand. Maybe a 3-card hand because it's a burn bear and they're going to staff afterwards, but it's smaller hands. So if they just like keep a 5-card hand, Poison the Well's pretty good there. It makes them look real silly for not blocking. They can't play the rest of their cards, and they don't clear your board. Kind of similar to Snag, probably just wins the game on the spot. And then that's going to be good whether or not they're trying to fatigue you. Like, if they're trying to fatigue you, this is good. And if they're trying to kill you, this is good. In both scenarios, this should work well into that strategy. Anything else worth mentioning here? Don't believe so. I think that's basically everything. I have, like, the Gold Kisses. Sunken Treasure, I feel like I'm just going to begrudgingly have to play. We're going to experiment with max swells. And then we're going to keep an eye on our allies of if this is enough or if we can cut some